And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk. We're here on most Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll talk all things Brevard College athletics. And another exciting show on tap this evening as we'll talk volleyball. We'll be talking some mountain biking and also cross country in detail with coaches and student athletes from Brevard College. But first, want to thank our sponsors of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Appreciate all that they do. Arby's, Brevard Orthopedics, BSN Sports, eGolf, Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Jets Pizza, Pepsi, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. Thank you for your support of Brevard College Athletics. Well, do want to catch you up since we saw you last and also let you know what's on tap for the fall sports that are all in action. And first up, men's soccer. Since our last show, they had a couple wins, 3-1 over Methodist and also 4-0 over Southern Virginia. And the men's soccer team will be in action on Wednesday, the 15th in Swannanoa, North Carolina versus Warren Wilson. And then Sunday on the 15th at Greensboro. Next home game, Saturday, September 25th versus Huntington. Women's soccer, a 3-1 win over Carolina University. Also a tough 2-0 loss this past weekend to Barry. Next up, women's soccer versus William Peace. And then women's soccer will head to Winston-Salem to take on North Carolina Wesleyan in a neutral site game. Football, a 38-34-14 loss to Shorter and also a 34-27 loss in overtime to Prentice this past weekend. Next up for football, a trip to NC Wesleyan, the USA South Conference opener in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. That's this Saturday at noon. Next home game for football is versus Huntington on September the 25th. Cross country, we'll be talking some cross country tonight. The Bruins Night XC Classic took place back on Friday, September the 3rd. Nice showing by the Tornadoes there. And then the Queen City Invite in Charlotte's coming up next on September the 24th. Men's and women's tennis. Men's had a win over Johnson of Tennessee, 8-1. And Brevard defeated Randolph 6-1 in women's tennis. On September 26th, this is actually a date change. Make sure you head out to the McCoy Tennis Complex where the tennis teams will take on Johnson C. Smith. Mountain biking coming off two big weekends. We'll be talking a lot of mountain biking this evening. Brevard College Ride Canoga Mountain Bike Race Weekend was 2 weeks ago right here on campus. And then the ACC SECCC dual conference races in Bristol, Tennessee. Another big showing for the Tornadoes there. And volleyball has been on the mind for NATO Nation, and it's going to be a big weekend coming up. The Tornadoes did have a big win. We want to mention that one, 3-2 over LaGrange earlier this season. But this weekend, the USA South crossover tournament, Friday, September 17th, volleyball versus Greensboro. Saturday, the 18th, volleyball versus Pfeiffer. And Saturday, the 18th at 7:30 p.m., the Tornadoes will be action once again versus William Peace. And so happy to be joined now by our guest this evening, head coach Anna Grant and assistant coach Kia Kaufman, the Brevard College Tornadoes volleyball coaching staff. Coach Grant and Coach Kaufman, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, Phil. Thanks for having us on tonight.
Yeah, outstanding. Really, really happy to have you here and ready to talk some volleyball. But before we get into the festivities this weekend, Coach Grant, we'll start with you. Can you tell us, kind of state of the union, what the team's been up to so far this year, including that win at LaGrange?
A lot of volleyball games in a short amount of time. We played 6 games in 7 days. So this past weekend, we kind of took a mental and physical break and had them do some scouting and some film, both on themselves and some opponents coming up. So we did some work, but it wasn't on the court. I think right now we have a lot of depth on the team, which is awesome. We have a lot of capable players who are able to contribute and are able to, help us succeed. And so right now we're just as a team trying to figure out what that exact lineup looks like, who can play where. We have a lot of really dynamic players as well that can do things in different areas. And so we're just trying to get the right fit, and we're trying to figure out what exactly is going to be the most efficient for us offensively and what our best defense looks like. So we're working out some kinks, trying to get ready for conference play to start next week.
Outstanding. And Coach Kaufman, now in your second season here with the Tornadoes, what are some of the things you're seeing as far as the growth of this year's Tornadoes squad?
They're improving quickly. It's tough since we haven't had a lot of practice time, but I think with all the game times that we've had, they have improved like night and day. Literally one day it was one way and the next day they played a different way. So I see a lot of growth in them, and I can't wait to keep training and get a little bit more practice time to like work out the kinks, but I'm really excited about where we're starting.
Very good. Well, this weekend, a huge event. And Coach Grant, I'd love to hear from you, just kind of the layout of, this event, the USA South Crossover Tournament. In our role at Brevard College as host of this event, a lot of volleyball going on in a 48-hour span beginning Friday. Tell us about the tournament, Coach.
Yes, there is. I hosted a similar tournament several years ago, and it was very well received by the other coaches. It was just a great opportunity. We're lucky to be kind of a central location, not only for our division in the conference, but the other side and their schools. So it kind of worked out that I was able to get a lot of teams to comply and come to Brevard a couple of years ago, and they wanted to do it again. So it'll be really nice to have all the teams here. A lot of the times the teams just from each division try and cross over before conference play starts, because ultimately we're going to have to battle it out for the title at the end of the year. So just having a little bit more familiarity with other schools in the conference is a part of it. And just, kind of getting together. And I think one thing that our conference coaches, especially in volleyball, do well is just creating relationships with each other and wanting what's best for our student athletes. So I'm glad that we get to host and provide that for everyone. It'll be a lot of volleyball, but it'll be a great chance to look at not only teams on our side, but teams on the other side as well, and kind of get a pre-scouting report on some of the teams on our division and see what we can face when we get to the conference tournament.
And Coach Kaufman, I'm sure you've been involved in some of these invitationals similar to this. From the player's mindset, what's the key?
I'm sure he'll be back soon. I think he was going maybe where are the players' mindset at, Kia?
The players' mindset about going into this tournament?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they're pretty excited. I mean, we got to do some extra practice with a couple of the girls came in a little extra, and I feel like everybody's really psyched and ready to play some volleyball. I feel like it's going to be a good experience for the freshmen and for even our sophomores that didn't get to do this last year. So I'm pretty excited that we get to do it at home too.
We kind of filled in your question for you and answered it, Phil. So I think we've got that one covered.
Very nicely done. I appreciate the hustle there, by this point, with the pandemic, I think everyone knows sort of the, trials and errors
technical
of the
difficulties
Zoom.
at some point.
Right, exactly. Well, appreciate you guys picking up the slack there. So an exciting tournament, and spectators with some guidelines in place, including we're asking everyone to wear masks inside the Bosch are allowed, and that's different than last year. Last season when we got the abbreviated season in, it was kind of an eerie feeling, in the Boschember gymnasium where it was just working personnel, then the players themselves. I'm sure it's a big boost for the student athletes to be able to have the home crowd behind them. Coach Grant, I'm sure you're hearing positive things.
Yeah, it is. And it's just, I think last year we just had the mindset of let's do everything we can to turn everything into a positive. So we never really dwelled on the fact that there weren't fans. Oh, it's not as loud without fans, or it's not as exciting. We just kind of kept it on the up and up and tried to make it positive. But it was very apparent as soon as we walked into the gym for that game to start, and you turn around and you're on the end line getting your name called and you get a wave to people and not just a camera. I think the girls were like, oh yeah, this is what it feels like to have my friends and family in the stands, and, have the energy in the crowd kind of help you out when you may not be feeling it. And also just the chance like for parents and friends and family to see their kids play live and not experience technical difficulties or, different things like that, know what the score is the whole time. It's just great to have a true game day atmosphere again. So that's been awesome to have. And I think we'll have a packed gym this weekend with a lot of support from other parents and other schools. So very much looking forward to that. It's been awesome getting back to it more regular, feel in the gym.
So fans, you are permitted to come here to the Boschmore Gymnasium for this weekend's USA South crossover tournament. We do ask that you wear your mask while indoors here for everyone's safety. Well, it's going to be a good one. And Coach, before we let you go, you mentioned sort of the ability of fans to come and see their student athletes. I can't help but notice there's a real nice local presence on this year's roster, the Western North Carolina region. Can you speak on that a little bit, kind of how this sport is flourishing here in the mountains of Western North Carolina and how Brevard's the beneficiary of that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of girls in the area are starting to play more competitive clubs and just have an exposure to the sport at an earlier age. And so that means that they just get developed at an earlier age and have better training. And then ultimately, decide that, hey, I have the opportunity to play volleyball in college close to home. And even living on campus doesn't even feel, just like you're sitting at home. So I think that, one of the good things that Key and I have experienced through working with a local club has been building relationships with those players. Ultimately it's our goal for them to see, how far they can go. But if they, feel that Brevard is a fit, we're very excited about that. And so we've seen the benefit from that relationship as well. I'm just glad that they're able to play in front of their friends and family and just play close to home. So many of them just love being at Brevard. So I'm hoping that, they can continue their all 4 years here and just walk across that stage proud to, live in Brevard or live in the area and then also have a degree from the college and have played 4 years of volleyball.
Coach Kaufman, before we bring in our student athlete guests, you've been here 2 years now. You're from Colorado. Now that you're here and settled, but also learning, the college and what is appealing to recruits and to high school student athletes, what do you see as the real benefits of Brevard College?
I think just the community. I think being in such a small, tight-knit community and being where everybody knows your name, your professors know your name, your athletic director knows your name, So I think it's that being personable and feeling like they belong. So I feel like that's something that I enjoyed about coming here. And I think that's something that my recruits, the people that I've been talking to, have really liked about Brevard as well.
Very good. Well, at this moment, we're going to invite in a couple of this year's volleyball student athletes as joining the show now. Morgan Graham, the senior from Covington, Virginia. Welcome to the show, Morgan. And also Sarah Hutchens, the junior from East Bend, North Carolina. Coach Kaufman, we'll let you go first. Tell us a little more about these two.
Oh, man.
Oh,
They are really awesome people and fun to be around. They're great volleyball players as well. I've really enjoyed the relationships that I've built with both of these players. And I'm just really happy to be their coach and see them perform this season. I'm really excited to watch them.
Very good. And we'll leave the final word for you, Coach Grant, before we turn it over exclusively to these two student athletes. Tell us even more about these two and what makes them exceptional.
Both of them are just very getting stronger in their leadership skills, and they're emerging leaders in their individual classes. So it's been really nice to see that kind of blossom this year. And I think that just like everything that happened last year and everything that these two players have been through their time at Brevard College, they're just like, hey, this is our time. This is our time to step up, to be leaders, to put it all out there on the court and in the practice gym and in the weight room. And they've just been doing a great job at, being what it takes or doing what it takes to be a great volleyball player at Brevard College. So very proud of them. They've both grown a lot in the time that I've known them. And they're just like proving to themselves that they can do it and the hard work pays off.
Very good. Well, head coach Anna Grant, assistant coach Kia Kaufman of the Brevard College volleyball program. We'll see you this weekend at the Boschmore Gymnasium. action going on all day Friday and Saturday. Tornadoes in action 7 p.m. on Friday versus Greensboro, and then Saturday 3:30 and 7:30 at the Bosch. Coach Grant, Coach Kaufman, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having us. Have fun, ladies.
Bye. Bye.
All right, and there they go. And glad to be joined now by, once again, Sarah Hutchens and Morgan Graham. And Sarah, a junior middle blocker from East Bend, North Carolina. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for
I
having
believe
me.
this may be your debut on Tornado Talk, so really excited to have you here. Is that correct?
I had the opportunity to be on it freshman year as well.
Ah, okay. So first time since freshman year. Very good. And Morgan Graham, followers of Tornado Athletics are familiar with Morgan, certainly by this time, a senior defensive specialist. Morgan, thanks for returning to the show.
Thanks. I like being on these. I think I've been on it almost every year.
Very good. Well, love having senior year and you back here on the show. And Morgan, we'll start with you. You've been here for a while. You've seen, these different evolutions of Tornado volleyball and different, personalities of every year's team. But tell us about this year's team. You guys are already knee deep in it and working hard. And I know there's, a ton of promise for this year's team.
Absolutely. We have the biggest freshman class that came in for recruited since my freshman year. And I think this is probably the biggest team that I've been on here. And I think that's crazy because I've never felt so close as a team. I'm glad my senior year, this is the best year that I've had here so far. And I know it's just begun, but I'm really excited. We're all just very intertwined. We know each other. It's just not on teammate level. It's deeper than that. And that's what I've always wanted. Being here is just we've really tried hard to get that culture. And now we have it, and we got new people to come in, and they accepted it, and it's a really good family.
Very, very good. Well said. Sarah, junior now, so upperclassman, and you've been around now, NATO Nation and the Tornado volleyball program yourself. How about your thoughts as far as this year's team, and what is the secret to this year's success?
This year, I see that we have a tremendous amount of talent on the team, and everyone plays a huge role in whether you're playing, you're not playing. We're all going to have to work together to push this season and get to where we want to be as a team. Right now, everyone is working together. Everyone has a great mindset. Everyone is prepared, and we all want to win, and we all want to play hard no matter what the game looks like at the time.
Very good. Well said as well. Now, this weekend is this big invitational, and it's kind of interesting. I'd imagine it goes beyond just you guys playing a bunch of volleyball over the course of a weekend. You've done that a bunch of times, but when you're hosting a tournament, also, you kind of have to take on yet another role. You're a host to all these different schools and them coming through here. Plus, you get to check out all these different teams and their styles and what they're all about. Heading into this weekend, as the graphic shows there, Friday night, the first game versus Greensboro. Then there's 2 matches for the Tornadoes on Saturday. Morgan, what are your thoughts heading into an event like this, and what does the mindset need to be for you all as athletes?
I'm excited for this weekend. We haven't had a lot of chances to do the tournament styles because of COVID last year, and I almost forgot what it felt like to have these big tournaments and stuff. And a lot of teams are coming here, and we only play 3 of them, but they all play each other, and there's more that we don't play that are coming. I just think it's crazy. I love that they're coming here. Maybe they'll get to see a white squirrel. But I think our mindset definitely needs to be just about this is our home and we're gonna protect it, and I don't care where these people are coming from. We're here to win. But hope they're safe. Hope they drive safe.
Sarah, I'm sure you've taken part in invitationals like this, whether on the club level or college level. Does there need to be a certain mindset as far as staying focused? Sometimes the schedules are even sort of thrown out of whack a little bit if there's a 5-setter here or there and that kind of thing. Talk about it from the athlete standpoint and staying focused throughout the weekend.
For me, I personally see it as no matter what game you're walking into, no matter what kind of tournament, no matter the situation, you have to have a strong game mindset and just be prepared for anything that's thrown at you. You never know what the outcome of the game's gonna be. You never know if a game you lose the first set, you win the second, lose the third, and then you have two more to play. You don't ever know like what your full outcome's gonna be, and you just have to be prepared for anything. I just think being tough and having that strong game mindset is the key to having a successful weekend.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, a couple more on the volleyball side of things before we head off the court with you two. Morgan, I'd love for our audience to learn a little bit more about your position, defensive specialist, libero. These are terms that folks that might not be that versed in volleyball don't even know what in the world we're talking about. But can you kind of make it as easy as possible, layman's terms, your position?
Yeah, so a defensive specialist is someone who only plays back row. I know every defense, 'cause there's different rotations that we do. There's different styles of defense. Like I know it all. I am like a pretty good serve receiver, so that's always important to have those back there. And a good server, especially if you go in before or after, because I usually go in for an outside or a right side, just as the DS. And then as the libero, you usually go in for the middles. And libero, wears the different color jersey, a real captain, like leader on the court, because they get to tell you where to go and what to do. And they can actually only serve for one of the middles. They can't serve twice. So that's an interesting thing. And they never go front row either. But we're really good serve receivers. We're scrappy on defense. Like, that's what we do.
Very good. Well said. And Sarah Hutchens, you're listed as a middle blocker, but I know you've played some other positions as well. Can you explain up front, what goes on in your position?
With being a middle, one of your most important jobs is the block. The block sets up everything. It helps your defense out in the back, helps your passers out, because if you leave a hole in that block and they're running rotational defense, well, then there's a hole in the court. So it just like you all have to work together, and you have to be able to block and put up a strong defensive line up front. And a middle, honestly, I would say most footwork that out of any of the hitters. You have to know the footwork. You have many different hitting positions as a middle. You just have to be very diverse and be able to roll with the punches as a middle, because a middle does not get set very often unless the ball is pretty much a perfect pass, because they're your first line. They're your first ones that are there, and normally your other middle block is putting up a block right in front of the setter, so it's kind of a little challenging at times, but it's definitely something you can work with and you grow as a player.
Very good. Academics, would love to hear from each of you as far as what you're studying and then what you're pursuing post-graduation. We'll start with the senior, Morgan.
So I'm actually an art major, and I'm taking business classes as well. I'm trying to do graphic design when I get out of college, and like try to do marketing. Thinking about moving somewhere in Charlotte, like downtown, But other than that, I don't really have any plans yet.
Very good. Well, enjoying your senior year and certainly keeping busy with volleyball and your studies as well. Sarah, tell us about your academics and, what you have in mind once you graduate.
I am an agriculture education major. I am looking at teaching possibly in a high school and then pursuing further education, either my master's or my PhD. And then hopefully we'll teach elsewhere after that or look into a different job position. I don't exactly know where I'll end up because there's not many ag positions that open up every year, but hopefully somewhere local because I love the area and I would love to stay around.
Very good. Well, before we let you go, we always like to give student athletes the opportunity to give a shout out or a thank you to anyone who may be listening to this program live or on replay, or even, just someone who may have helped you along the way. Anyone you want to acknowledge. Morgan Graham, shout outs, thank yous.
Shout out to my mom. Katie. She's gonna come this weekend and support. I think she's bringing my dad. I'm really excited to see them, and they finally get to come watch me play volleyball in person this year. It's really exciting.
Very good. Sarah, shout outs or thank yous?
Shout out to my parents for always supporting me and putting up with the fact that I love playing volleyball, and they always want to travel to watch me play, so that's a bonus. Shout out to the coaches for helping me improve my skills and just become a better athlete and have this strong mindset on and off the court.
Very good. Well, ladies, we will see you in action this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. A grand total of 10 volleyball matches happening over the course of 48 hours, and USA South Conference. It's great for Brevard to serve as host of events like this. And Friday, the matchup versus Greensboro at 7 p.m., Saturday versus Pfeiffer at 3:30 p.m., and then Saturday versus William Peace at 7:30 p.m. Sarah Hutchens and Morgan Graham, two of those members of the Tornado Volleyball Club, thank you again for joining the program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, and there they go. And we're going to quickly switch gears to mountain bikes as we're going to bring in the coaching staff for the Brevard College cycling program in just a moment here as they make their way to the program. We have head coach Brad Perley and also assistant coach Cypress Gorry. Gentlemen, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Phil.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Very good. Well, great to have you two because it's been a busy couple weeks for Brevard College cycling. We'll start with, 1 weekend ago, the Brevard College Ride Canuga mountain bike race weekend. Day 1 at Ride Canuga in Hendersonville. Day 2 right here on Brevard College's campus. Coach Perley, tell us how did the weekend go from your perspective?
It was fantastic, really. And I think that the biggest takeaway is just how much fun the students had, both our students and visiting as well. I mean, it was really, really nice to finally be able to not only have the students compete and start racing again, but to have the ability to host a race here, not only locally, like we've done in the past few years, but on campus. It's been, I don't know, Cypress and I were trying to figure it out. It's been probably close to 5 years or so since we were able to have an on-campus competition for cycling. So, yeah, it meant a lot, I think, to the students, to the school, to us certainly, just for the program in general, to be able to share a little bit of what our students do every weekend with the campus community and the local community again. It is pretty major and exciting.
In Cypress, you've been involved with a lot of these race events over the years. And, this one in particular, from a racer standpoint, provided some compelling challenges, both Ride Canuga and then also right here on campus. Can you kind of tell us about the course layout at each and, the events on each day?
Yeah, it really did. We were lucky to have Ride Canuga as a venue to have accessible for us. We had some really great courses, both for the cross country and the downhill races at Ride Canuga. The cross country was a whole lot of climbing packed into a pretty short loop that we did a bunch of times depending on the category of racer. And then the downhill race was down GNCC, one of the trails there. So that was kind of a mix of, flowy and fast single track and a little more technical and rooty and kind of raw trail at the bottom. So it really gave the riders an opportunity to kind of showcase their skill set, regardless of whether it was, something fast and flowy or more technical. And then kind of moving into that second day on campus, we had a freshly built dual slalom track. There was a lot of work from the students that went into that. So it's really awesome to have that as something that we can utilize on campus for them, as well as a really good short track course that we put together and really had some great racing there.
And Coach Perley, some phenomenal on-track success for the Tornadoes. On that weekend alone, 9 race wins, 21 podiums, 58 top tens. I mean, mind-boggling numbers. And then through 2 races this year, the totals are even bigger. 13 wins, 36 podiums, 92 top tens through 2 weekends of racing. And there's a bunch of newcomers on this year's team as well. I'm sure you're satisfied as far as the results thus far.
Yeah, to say the least. And also, both Cypress and I are extremely excited too, looking ahead to the next competitions. We have conference, interconference, but also at nationals too in October. So, yeah, it really, from a performance standpoint, we certainly couldn't ask for a better way to start the year off. But also, more importantly, really too, just the students, their attitude and the camaraderie we have on the team already, jumping right in, because we're starting fresh in a whole lot of ways. I mean, you mentioned we have a bunch of new faces in the team, but really it's sort of like we have two classes of new students this year, at least for competition, because, the sophomores have never competed with the team. They never traveled the team. They've never raced a collegiate race until 1 week ago now. So it's been a lot of new sort of kind of question marks. We've been trying to prepare the team as best we can. They obviously came to school very prepared to race and perform already, which is, we have very little control over that. That's entirely up to them. And so they're putting in the work. They're the ones putting in the hours. So yeah, performance-wise, attitude-wise, they are really got the ball rolling right away. We kind of kick things off with a bang. So we're really excited to keep building on that. And both of us, we see a lot of potential within the team to continue that growth and really capitalize on the opportunities we have coming up. So that's the goal moving forward, certainly.
And in Cypress, we've talked a lot about the Ride Canoga Brevard College event, but this past weekend up in Bristol, Tennessee, another conference event, great results up there as well, correct?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think great results is an understatement. Again, just as the previous weekend, we had some, phenomenal racing really in all the categories. We have some athletes that are relatively new still to cycling, and they're racing great and making huge steps. Then on the, in the A fields, the kind of more elite group, they're racing incredibly well. We had some courses that were difficult for a few reasons, and the riders really kind of shined through and had a fantastic attitude despite some pretty tough situations that they were put into. So we were really happy to see that there's, phenomenal attitude along with the results that are happening. And even if there's some issues, that they kind of stay focused on the task at hand and continuing to move on forward with a positive mindset to the next race. So it's been a really good year so far.
Yeah, outstanding start to this fall mountain bike season. First time we've had the two of you on this program since the World Championships, and a school record 6 Brevard College Tornadoes made the trips to the World Championships in Italy. Maisie Hayden represented the United States, then 5 Tornadoes representing Canada: Owen Clark, Tyler Orschel, Rachelle Pajot, and Cole Puncher. We've talked about this before, but this is a whole other level once we get to a school record 6 athletes heading over there from Brevard College. And I know a couple of them stayed over in Europe even further and, missed that first weekend. But Brad, if you can, tell us just how proud you are to have that kind of talent head over to Italy for the World Championships.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime we have the fortune of having certain, current student athletes, or former too, for that matter, be able to go and represent at that level of competition internationally, it brings a lot of pressure to them, of course, but it's also a great opportunity and really exciting for them and for the program here too, because wherever they are racing, whether or not they happen to be wearing a BC jersey, they're still representing our program even after they graduate too. So yeah, certainly we're extremely proud of them and their efforts. And it really, like I said before, it's really just shows how much work and determination we have within the program. And that's something we're very proud of without a doubt.
Yeah, in Cypress, I know you're familiar with that sort of stage. It's got to just be a big boost to the program altogether to have those kind of athletes not only represent their countries, but also Brevard College overseas like that. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's huge exposure for every athlete to be on that level. And there's a lot of, expectations, I think, that come with that, from whether it's the country or the riders themselves. But I think that there's obviously been a testament to having riders at that level and that continued growth, and seeing more and more that are able to compete at the World Championships. And, whether it's the communication that happens there or just the visibility from that, we're continuing to kind of grow, how elite a lot of the riders on the team are. And hopefully we can continue to have that trend going on. And it's been really great for the team so far.
Last one for each of you, as far as the remaining mountain bike season, a trip to Lindsey Wilson in a couple weeks in Kentucky, the conference championship up at Banner Elk, hosted by Lise McCrae, and then the national championships, a long time coming after last year's national championships were canceled due to the pandemic, but the national championships in Durango, Colorado, October 14th through 17th. Coach Perley, as far as, what's ahead for this team, great start, but I'm sure the goals are even higher.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really the case. And we make it very clear to the students that that's our mindset as well. I mean, we could very well focus on trying to, completely crush every collegiate race and chase after conference points and all this. And really, that's not our goal. We prefer to, really honestly, in a healthier way, use these races as training and preparation to figure out what needs to happen to prepare our best for nationals. So that means, it means forfeiting certain conference races and points, things like that. And that's okay with us because the end goal is always going to be an absolute best performance as a team at nationals in October. So yeah, that's certainly what all eyes are ahead looking at that. Of course, that being said, we still want to go to the remaining 2 conference weekends and perform to our best, but it's in preparation of nationals. Certainly, it's that is not the end game for for our nationals crew. And we don't know exactly who that's going to be yet. That's going to be a very difficult decision for both Cypress and I to make as we go through the next few weeks here. But it's a good problem to have because we have many students that we, without a question, could take the nationals and they perform very well. So it's just going to come down to the goal is always that team omnium national title. That's what we're going to shoot for and do the best we can. I mean, that's certainly what we're preparing for.
Anything to add to that, Coach Gorry?
I mean, I think really like Brad said, the main focus is nationals, but having these upcoming conference races is a great opportunity for the team to get some races in their legs and really experience some more, for example, dual slalom racing. That's something that they don't get to do over the summer. There's almost no dual slalom events that exist outside of collegiate racing. So it's a little bit of a unique discipline for a lot of the riders. So doing that, or, just focusing on short track and learning a little tactically more from races or whatever it may be. So there's a lot that we can really get out of these next couple weekends of racing in preparation for kind of the main goal of the season. So we're looking forward to that. And we're going to have some really tough decisions. I think maybe some of the hardest decisions we've ever had for who we're going to be able to take to nationals, since we have a limited roster for that. So it's a good problem to have, but it's going to be some tough decisions.
Very good. Well, last one before we bring in our student athlete guests, I do want to circle it back to the event that was held on campus here and at Ride Canoga, because like you said, it's the first time something like this has been done in several years. First time an event of collegiate nature has ever happened at Ride Canoga, and a lot of people made that happen. The folks at Ride Canoga, as far as hosting that Saturday, Sully Steamers, kept everybody well nourished, and I know Dodd RV helped with the timing and scoring systems. Coach Perley, we'll leave the final word for you here, as far as what it meant to execute that event.
I mean, we're very proud of how that weekend went, how the students performed. But I think that what we're most proud of is the involvement, like you said, of the sponsors, the supporters, community members. We had many people coming out and just asking, hey, do you guys need help with this or that? Just more hands making it easier for us. It's always a lot of preparation that goes into one of those events, and it's always a lot of anxiety on the end of the race promoters too, especially when we hadn't raced in a year and a half and we were starting things off by suddenly racing, but not only are we racing, we're actually hosting it too. So there's a lot of things happening quickly and at once. But yeah, everyone involved, and the students were a major part of that, as Cypress had mentioned too, in making that happen, making the machine run. And then of course, the athletic department, and then you all with your team, the media team there on Sunday, live streaming an event, a live stream collegiate bike race is not a thing that happens. So that was really, really unique and very much appreciated by certainly Cypress and myself, but also the students, whether or not they're on our team, and there's so many kids from all over the country, all over the world that are competing at even these, you might call them smaller collegiate races. They're not nationals, they're not world championships, but their family is all over the world and friends and supporters all over the world. So the opportunity for them from afar to kind of see in and say, hey, that's so-and-so racing, type in go, 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 like simple, small things like that. And they seem small in the moment. Like that really changes the student experience for the better. So yeah, thanks to you all, your team, and the sponsors, everyone that helped make that weekend happen.
Want to give a shout out to Carson Beckett, who,
Yes.
Was able to volunteer his time and provided expert color commentary on that live stream. Really appreciate BC alumnus Carson Beckett for what he did for the program as well. Well, before we let you go, we're going to invite in your two students who are going to be guests on tonight's show, so we can get this party a little larger momentarily here, as Owen Clark has entered the building along with Erica Leonard and Cypress. Tell our audience a little more about these two riders.
Well, so Erica's been on the team for a little longer now, but this has been her first time to actually compete. So she's held strong and steadfast and has really shown some great race results this year. So we're really excited to see that after putting in a year of hard work, really focusing on some gravity events last year. And that's really helping her out and all across the disciplines. And Owen's a new addition to the team this year, also from Canada, and he's been racing great as well. And all across the board, we've been really excited to see some really versatile riders coming through the program and performing all across the disciplines. Is really awesome to see.
Yeah, Coach Perley, tell us even more about these two before we let you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'll certainly echo what Cypress said, but they've certainly both made an impact very quickly. Again, it seems strange to say that for a rider such as Erica, because this is not her first year here. But again, like I mentioned, we kind of are starting from scratch, it feels like, because we have so many new students. Very few are returning bike racers that have actually been to a collegiate race this year. So, so both of them, that being said, have had a very quick impact. Of course, you had mentioned the results. But also just in the team atmosphere. And that's something that they already know this because we say it all the time, but the team atmosphere is something that is paramount for us. It's extremely important. Bike race results are going to come if people are happy, if they're enjoying themselves, because then the training will happen and, at least the good things. So, so they've certainly both helped out a lot in that area already. And we will continue to lean on them for that in the future too.
Very good. Coach Brad Perley and Coach Cypress Gorry, thanks for joining the program. Good luck the rest of this mountain bike season.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, and there they go. So Erica Leonard and Owen Clark, to Brevard College Psych. Erica, thanks for joining the program.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on the show.
Excited to have you on the show. And Owen Clark, the freshman from King City, Ontario, making his Tornado Talk debut. Owen, thanks for joining the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Well, it's exciting to have you guys after one big weekend up in Bristol, Tennessee. And Erica, we'll start from you because I want to show off some of these results to our audience. 2 race wins, 3 total podiums. You win the Women's A dual slalom. You win the Women's A cross country, second place finish, and Women's A short track cross country. And, that was after a huge win in the opening weekend where you had a couple wins as well. Just a hot start to the season, Erica. Congratulations on those results. Can you tell us a little bit, from your perspective, both weekends for that matter, how they felt for you?
Yeah. Well, I was certainly hoping for some results like that, but I wasn't really expecting them, especially in the gravity events. Before coming to Brevard, I'd never ridden a downhill bike or done dual slalom. I've really just chased guys like Owen and his brother Tyler and my brother. I've chased them around Ontario forever. So it was really cool to finally get out to an event and put down some good times. The XC event from last weekend it felt like a good course for me. I'm a very technical rider, so I felt really strong on course, and I just rode my race. Tried to stay in my head. I get thinking a lot, so I have to really concentrate. I'm not used to leading. But yeah, it was great to be back in a race like that. Back home, we in Canada, we were in lockdown for so long. So I calculated it. It's been over 2 years since I've actually done a cross-country mountain bike race, or a race for that matter. So it felt really good to be back racing.
Yeah, welcome back, and what a glorious way to start your season back up. Owen Clark, you were able to get the win up at Bristol in dual slalom. Congratulations on that, your first official win as a collegiate racer. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come, but I know you've been competing in a bunch of these events these first couple weekends. Now that you've participated and now won in collegiate racing, tell us how it's been going so far as this college scene.
I mean, it's been going great. So my brother, he's been telling me like for the past, I don't know, 3 years, he's been going here, how awesome the weekends are and how much fun he has. And I've just been looking forward to doing them, and they definitely met his hype over them. So like coming into these events, I was especially excited for like the downhill and gravity events, because up in Ontario, we don't get many mountains and many opportunity to do stuff like that. So coming down here was like definitely fun, and I just got to enjoy doing something different with the dual slalom and downhill, and it worked out well. So I'm happy about that.
Let's stick with you, Owen, for this next one, because you were also one of the 6 tornadoes that made the trip to the World Championships all the way in Italy. Were you able to spend a considerable amount of time? I'd imagine you did, since 5 of the 6 were on Team Canada. But as far as Brevard College students hanging out together at a World Championship all the way in Italy, what was that like?
It was pretty awesome. I mean, there was 4 of us in the same hotel in Italy, and so we did like lots of training together. Spent time with Cole because we were in Switzerland earlier as well, and over the summer I was with Cole all the time. So that was so much fun, and getting to meet my brother in Italy after kind of being in Switzerland. So getting to ride that crazy World Cup course was definitely interesting, and it's way different than anything I've ever ridden before. So it was an experience for sure.
Erica, you touched on it a little earlier, but this, Canadian connection we've got going with Brevard College now, it really seems like a pipeline is starting to, come into form here. Can you tell us a little more? What's it like to go to college in Brevard, North Carolina, as a cyclist, student athlete, but also, with, these friends of yours from Canada?
Well, Tyler likes to take credit that he's the best recruiter on the team. And, you kind of have to give him credit. He's got a few of us down here. But, yeah, I actually transferred from another university in Ontario last year because I didn't really realize that you could go to school and ride your bike, because in Canada that just doesn't really exist. But Brevard has been kind of a hot spot for other cyclists. I mean, I've been traveling to Brevard with the Team Ontario cycling team, doing training camps for years. And that's kind of how Tyler Orschel discovered this place. We were on a training camp and actually ran into Carson Beckett, and we got talking. I knew him from racing in Europe, so we made the connection there. And so Orschel came, and then next thing you know, it was Tyler. And now if you go back home to Canada, people talk about Brevard specifically because so many people go there, or just the U.S. in general, of the place to go if you want to stick in cycling and go to school. So it's pretty cool how the word's gotten out that the U.S. is the place to go if you want to be a cyclist and go to school.
And Erica, now that you've experienced Brevard College and being a member of the team, how would you describe that experience? What's it like to be a member of the Brevard College cycling team?
Yeah, well, I was actually thinking about this on the drive home over the weekend, that I haven't felt a team atmosphere like this since doing the Ontario Summer Games back when you're 12 years old and you get put with your best friends and you're racing against other teams from around the province. It's definitely a lonely sport, cycling. You're usually by yourself. So being on a team where you actually get to root for each other and others' results affect your results, it really creates a great atmosphere. And I think in terms of professional cycling, sometimes it lacks that camaraderie that Brad and Cypress were talking about. So collegiate cycling is just so much fun, and it's definitely kept me in the sport. And I think a few other people would say that as well. It's definitely a reminder of why it's fun to be on your bike.
And Owen, you feeling that team mentality, that team vibe already in your early career here as a collegiate racer?
Absolutely. It's only been 2 weekends, and I've already got to know all of the people on the team. There's a lot of us, so what I find is really cool about the whole collegiate circuit is there's a lot of crossover, as in there's people who are focused more on the XC side of things that are trying the gravity events, and then you have the gravity kids who are also just for fun doing the XC events. And what's even better is that both sides are doing well at the switch. So I think that switch kind of makes the other side understand what it's like to do what the other side competitively, and it kind of even makes that bond stronger. And the bus rides were great coming there and back. Lots of chatting, and it's been fun. So I'm looking forward to the how many more weekends are there? I think there's 2 or 3. I'm looking forward to those. So yeah.
That's right. A trip to Lindsey Wilson in Kentucky, up to Banner Elk, North Carolina, Beach Mountain for the conference championships, and then the national championships in Durango, Colorado. Erica, that was a great point by Owen as far as getting to participate in these different events. But to take it even further, you get the opportunity to race in different disciplines: cyclocross, gravel racing, road racing. Really a well-rounded opportunity where you can sample all sorts of styles of cycling.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you end up with 5 different bikes. So it's definitely, it's a lot, but it's so much fun getting to try out all the different disciplines. I mean, I've never done a gravel race before, but I guess we're going to go do some gravel racing at some point this year. And yeah, that should be interesting. I'm definitely excited to do some cyclocross with the team, though. It's a really rowdy sport, I guess.
And Owen, you got your eye on cyclocross, gravel, and even road, perhaps?
Yeah, I've done some road and some cross before. Not much gravel, but I'm just looking forward to all the racing, because I mean, racing is racing, and it doesn't really matter what kind of racing it is. It's all that same adrenaline feeling you get when you're doing it, and especially when you're doing it with a big group of friends who are also like into it. That makes it even better. And yeah, the cross is coming, I guess, pretty soon. And then in the spring, we got I think gravel's in the spring. Yeah, so gravel and road are in the spring, and that's going to be just as fun.
Erica, before we let you go, would like to hear about, off the race course. What are your academic aspirations? Have you chosen a major, and what are your plans down the road academically?
Yeah. At my last school, I was a kinesiology major. So over here, I'm a exercise science major. Yeah, and Tyler Clark and I have actually started our own coaching company. So hoping to see where that goes, and really just see where my degree can take me. I love studying exercise science, so it's a great program to be in.
And Owen, I wouldn't expect you to have all the answers in terms of, major and what you want to do exactly. Part of being a freshman is figuring all that out. But do you have your eye on something in terms of the academics and potentially career?
Yeah, I guess so. Still figuring it out though, for sure. I think I'm probably going to do major in business. I think that's like a good overall thing to do, especially when you're not 100% sure what specific area you want to go into. Yeah, I mean, I got some other interest in like media and film stuff as well. So, I mean, there's business kind of crosses over with everything. So you can take what you learn in that and apply it to whatever pathway I end up going into afterwards.
Very good. Last thing before we let you go, we always want our student athletes to have the opportunity to give any thank yous or shout outs to anybody who may be tuning in, or anyone who just might have helped you along the way. Erica, thank yous or shout outs?
Yeah, well, big thanks to Brad and Cypress. It's been a great collegiate experience so far. And my coach and Owen's brother, Tyler, for making me come on all those really hard rides with him. Yeah, and I guess my parents too.
Very good. Owen, same opportunity for you. Shout outs?
Yeah, I like to say my brother Tyler, because before coming here, I was very unsure of what I wanted to do, and he was already here, and he was definitely urging me to follow him. And now that I have, I'm very glad that I did, because I almost didn't. And yeah, so I'm definitely glad that I did.
Very good. Well, Erica Leonard and Owen Clark, two members of that Brevard College cycling team. Great start to this fall 2021 season. Best of luck for the upcoming races and heading towards that Durango, Colorado USA Cycling National Championship. Erica and Owen, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
All right, there they go. And we're going to quickly switch gears now, and we're going to talk some cross country, as joined now by our next guest, head coach Darryll Patrick. He oversees both the cross country and the track and field programs here at Brevard College, but naturally the fall season, all things cross country. And Coach Patrick, thanks for joining the show once again.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Thanks for having me.
Well, the season kicked off back on September the 3rd, a night race in Greenville, South Carolina, the Bruins Night Cross Country Classic. Kind of unusual in and of itself, a night race for the cross country circuit. But from your perspective, Coach Patrick, can you tell us how it went for the Tornadoes?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, most cross country meets are done in the morning or maybe early afternoons. So saw the opportunity to run at night, you know, because there's probably maybe a couple throughout the year, throughout the season. So, and even though it was early on, like it was only 2 weeks into our training in the fall, I just figured, why not have some fun? And it was a flat course. It was looped a lot, but just thought it'd be fun for my teams to just go out there and compete and get used to racing again. And regardless of results, technically there was only 5 teams there at Bob Jones, and could not be more happy on how we ran. I wanted them to go out there aggressive, and that's what they did. Live with the consequences. So either you run well or just hang on. And I mean, we had a little bit of both, but hey, that's what we wanted. And you know, we still got a couple more months to, you know, hit those goals, but definitely a good start.
And while we're talking about the schedule, next up, the Queen City Invite in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's another Friday evening, a little earlier in the evening at 6 p.m. Do you know much about that course layout there, Coach?
Oh, yeah. So that's actually one of our favorite courses. It's super flat. They took out a hill on their course, so a lot more teams will come. And sure enough, it's like one of the best meets in the country. You'll probably look at 40 to 50 teams there on that meet, and then 2 weeks later we're going there again, and probably about the same amount. That tells you how good it is. Hard surface, like, you know, kind of dirt, a little bit of grass, but fast as can be. So we're really looking towards definitely the second time we go there. The first time is going to be our first time with a very young team running a 8K and our women running a 5K. So, you know, we're just going to go out there, see where we're at, see if these mountains and stuff are helping out. And then 2 weeks later, we hope to do that again.
And then after the second trip to Charlotte, as you mentioned, the Royals XC Challenge on Friday, October the 8th. The USA South Conference Championships would be in the crosshairs next. That's going to be in Rocky Mount, North Carolina this year. I'm sure you've, you know, already pondered quite a bit about those conference championships.
Oh, yeah. So we actually, 2 years ago, our conference was held there, our conference championship, and they ran a really good meet. NC Wesleyan hosted it. Thought it was really well ran. So, you know, we're hoping to change that result than 2 years ago. I think we will definitely contend for more of the higher placings. My goal is to try to be a top 5 team in the conference with their young team. So, yeah, we're excited. That's kind of been like marked on our calendars, like this is what we're going to really strive for. So regardless of the results of these next 2 meets, we'll get 3 weeks after the second Charlotte meet to really train hard and push the envelope a little bit more to see what we can do there. So,
Coach, I know you've been building this roster since your arrival here at Brevard College. Tell us about this year's team, both on the men's and women's side, and how the team kind of looks, as far as the depth, strengths, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'll start with the women. This is our first year actually having a full women's team, so really excited about that, and really excited to see how joyful and like how appreciative they are to go out and run and enjoy the area and just work hard. So we have 6 women, and so Zoe Capps is our sophomore, and she'll be on here in a minute. She's worked really hard over the summer. Definitely can tell she's ready to run some good races. And then Haley Lane Miller, she's from South Carolina. She's a really good hurdler in the track. So once track comes around, we'll see what she can do there. But she likes to run cross country in the fall, and she's definitely someone else to keep an eye on. And so, yeah, I could not be more excited for our women's team. So hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll start really contending for those top conference spots. And then on our men, pretty much keeping the same team. We have 9 guys. All pretty much sophomores except for one. We have one junior. So again, could not be more excited to where we're going. A lot of them put in the mileage over the summer. So that was another reason why we did that early race, to kind of see where they're at. And so they've had these goals of wanting to do well in conference. So that's what we're doing. We're running up these mountains pretty much every day, working hard, and they're just grinding through. They're just pushing hard, pushing each other. And I'm excited where we're going.
Coach, we've talked about it before, but just the exceptional nature of this part of the country for distance running. Every summer the Brevard Runners Camp takes place. Brevard Hall of Famer Norm Whittick, running the show there. We're in the Whittick conference room as we speak. So the huge history when it comes to Brevard College cross country, but also the area lends itself to just limitless, it seems, training opportunities. Can you talk on both those fronts, the history of Brevard College cross country, but also this area that we have here at our disposal?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, like you said, Norm Whittick, him and the coach before him, and even Dave Rinker right after him, they've kind of laid that foundation of what it could be and it should be here at Brevard. Because the nature presents itself, and so they set a really high standard for every coach that goes on after them. So I set a high standard for myself to, hopefully strive for those one day. Me and Norm talk about it all the time when I get to see him. They worked really hard to where they got, and every team that they had, every recruit, every athlete they've coached, they really pushed them, and they were really thankful for the area, like you said, like nature itself. And I got a lot of advice from them on how to do certain workouts or just how to really train my athletes here. And so I've taken bits and pieces of their philosophy and kind of put it into mine with a little twist. And every day I can choose a different trail for my team to run on, and so my team doesn't get bored, because they do kind of get bored easily. So I'd like to switch it up, but also just show how appreciative it is to have it every single day. So whether we go way up to Blue Ridge Parkway, get about 5,000 feet of elevation, or even just a 5-minute drive on our just right off the highway, there's still a trail. And so I definitely want to take it and take advantage of it, and have fun in the process.
Very good. Yeah, we had mountain bike coaches and students on earlier, so very similar to them. 12 months a year, you're able to train and do what you love in these beautiful mountains of Western North Carolina. I'm sure there's a lot of parallels there, right?
Oh yeah, sometimes we'll see them out there. So.
Very good. Well, we're going to invite in a couple of your student athletes, so love to have you stick around with us, Coach Patrick, as we bring into the program 2 of those Brevard College student athletes. As joining the show now, Zoe Capps and Dalton Hawley. Coach, before we let you go, tell our audience a little about these two.
Yeah, I'll start with Zoe. This is Zoe Capps. She's a sophomore right here in Hendersonville, North Carolina. It's not too far. I'm really excited about her. She's really worked hard since day one of last year. She really loves running. I tell her to take a day off. It's like taking a year off. So she really likes to push herself every day. But the most kindest, sweetest person you ever meet, and always encouraging to herself, to her teammates, to me. So definitely a joy to have. And then Mr. Dalton Hawley here from basically Daytona Beach, right? Close to there. Yeah, Florida. So he's taking him a little while to get used to these mountains, but I'm really excited to have him. He's a sophomore. So he's just only getting better and better, and can't wait to see what he can do.
Very good. Well, Coach Darryll Patrick, appreciate the kind words and appreciate you joining the program this evening. Best of luck through this fall cross-country season. We'll be following every step of the way.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Phil. Thank you for having me.
All right, there he goes. Head coach Darryll Patrick. He is at the helm of both the cross-country and the track and field programs here at Brevard College. And join now in the upper right corner, Dalton Hawley, the sophomore out of Palm Coast, Florida. Business and organizational leadership major. Dawn, thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, no problem. It's great to be here.
And also with us, Zoe Capps, the sophomore from Hendersonville, North Carolina, listed as a biology major and a key member of that cross-country team as well. Zoe, thanks for joining the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Zoe, how's the season going so far? I know that the season kicked off with that event down in the Greenville-Spartanburg area, but I know the team has been hard at work training on a nearly daily basis. Tell us how you feel like the season's been going so far.
I feel like it's going pretty good so far. We had that first race, and girls ran 4K, guys ran 6K, and it was a night race, which was fun. We've been doing a lot of mountain training, which has really helped.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I'm sure if you train in the mountains, once you get to a flatter surface, which you'll see from time to time across the conference, it's got to truly be an advantage. Dawn, how's your season going so far?
I mean, I can't complain. All the boys are training hard. I think it'll be a really good season if we can just stay away from those injuries, honestly.
And Dawn, Coach mentioned you're from Florida and getting acclimated to these mountains. Full disclosure, I'm a Florida native myself, down from South Florida, Miami, and I love it up here. The mountains, the cool air, and that kind of thing. How's it been from your perspective, as far as being a distance runner up here in the mountains and having to deal with elevation?
It really is different. And one thing I can say that I love compared to Florida is a concrete jungle. So, I mean, oh man. And running on these trails is really great to get off, stay off the impact of our legs, hitting the concrete every day. It's really immeasurable how grateful we are for these trails.
And Zoe, from nearby Hendersonville, North Carolina, so you're used to this sort of terrain, but did you spend a lot of time actually running the trails in places like Pisgah National Forest and DuPont State Forest?
I hadn't really gotten to much of the trails when I was in Hendersonville, even though it's not that far of a drive. But I've really enjoyed the trails since coming to Brevard, and there's all different sorts of trails, which is nice.
It's always fascinating to me, as far as exactly the training schedule you guys, put forth. And I'd love for a snapshot from each of you, what a, day in the life, week in the life from a running training schedule looks like, mileage, different workouts, things like that. We'll start with you, Zoe. What's a typical week look like?
A typical week for me is generally I have 2 speed workout days where we'll do 400, sometimes 1Ks. and do like repeats. And then we'll have probably the rest of the days, probably 3 easy days where we just kind of hit the trails and just kind of don't go easy, but not super hard. And then we got our long run days, which is usually Sunday, where I'll get like 13-ish miles.
Dalton, how about you?
So usually start of the week, Monday. Right now we're doing hard weeks, 3 workouts a week. We got 2 easy days or 3 easy days. And then Saturdays are long runs. We go from 13 to 15 miles. But right now we're really hitting the elevation a lot. We've been gaining about 1,200 feet of elevation at least every run. So it's been a struggle for me, honestly, but I love it.
Last one on the running side. I'd love to hear from each of you as far as how you got your start running competitively. What age were you? When did you realize that, hey, this is something I want to really devote a ton of time to, distance running? Zoe, what comes to mind?
Well, I had played soccer for many years, and I ended up falling in love more with the running aspect of it than the soccer part. And I was probably 13 when I started running, and I was on a homeschool team, which was nice. But I just ended up falling in love with it, and I can't stay away from the trails pretty much.
Very good. Dalton, do you remember sort of the moment where you said, hey, I want to run?
Well, actually, when I started running, I was a freshman in high school, and it was my soccer coach. He said, if you want to play on this team, I need you to do a sport before season starts. And I started running, and that same soccer coach told me he will never tell another soccer player to do cross country after. It was about my sophomore year. I fell in love. I started running fast times, and I knew I was just more athletically prepared to run.
So that soccer coach lost a soccer player, but the running world gained another runner, and ultimately Brevard College did as well. Off the running track and off the trails, love to hear about each of you and what you're up to academically. Perhaps you've already got your sights set on career as well. Zoe, tell us what you're up to as far as the books go.
Well, I'm a biology major, and this semester I'm taking a biodiversity class and a chemistry class, which will go towards that. I would really someday like to, after I graduate here, like to become a veterinarian or do something medical. But
very nice. I appreciate all that. Dalton, how about yourself?
I'm a business major. So really my goal at the end of the day is to own my own business. I want to be my own boss. I don't like being bossed around, but at the end of the day, that's the goal.
Very good. Well, before we let you go, want to allow you each the opportunity to give any shout outs or thank yous to anyone who may have helped you along the way. Zoe, you're up.
I would like to thank my family, my mom and brother, and my grandparents for being encouraging to me always in my running and coming to my races. And I would like to thank Coach for teaching or coaching me and for being there for me in races and just everything.
Very good. Well said. Dalton, shout outs, thank yous.
I'd like to say thank you to Coach T and to Coach Darryll. They're always pushing me, trying to make me not just a better runner, but a better man. I'd also like to thank my parents, because if it wasn't for them, I know I wouldn't be where I am right now. And that's all I can ask for.
Very good. Dawn Hawley and Zoe Capps, thank you very much for joining the program this evening. Best of luck through the rest of this cross-country schedule. We'll be following every step of the way. Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and there they go. So fun show this evening, talking cross-country, mountain biking, and also volleyball in depth. And want to make sure you know what's going on this week around the world of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. On Wednesday, the men's soccer team will be back in action. If you're over in the Swannanoa area, just east of Asheville. Brevard will be at Warren Wilson in men's soccer at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Women's soccer, same time, right here at Ives Lamel Family Field. The Tornadoes will be hosting William Peace. That's a 5 p.m. kickoff at Ives Lamel Family Field. The reserves men's soccer team will be in action here at Ives Lamel Family Field, hosting Montreat. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff this Thursday. Friday is the start of a major USA South Conference crossover tournament here. 10 volleyball matches in the span of 48 hours on the 17th and 18th. And the Tornadoes will be in action on Friday night, 7 p.m. The host team hosting Greensboro, 7 p.m. at the Bosch. And then Saturday, 2 matches for volleyball as part of that tournament. The Tornadoes will take on Pfeiffer at 3:30 p.m. and then William Peace at 7:30 p.m. at the Bosch to cap off the USA South crossover tournament. Football heads to Rocky Mount, North Carolina to take on North Carolina Wesleyan on Saturday. That's a noon kickoff. Men's tennis will be at Guilford in Greensboro. Women's soccer will play a neutral site match in Winston-Salem on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. That's against North Carolina Wesleyan. And then Sunday, more tennis action as the Tornadoes head to Randolph in Lynchburg, Virginia for a men's tennis match. And men's soccer will also be in the state of Virginia, taking on Emory and Henry, 2 p.m. on Sunday, September the 19th. And we'll be right back here for Tornado Talk on Monday, the 20th. Well, thanks for everybody for tuning in. Thanks for all of our guests from the sports of volleyball, cross country, and mountain biking. And thank you, NATO Nation, for continuing to support the Brevard College Tornadoes. Until next time, go Tornadoes.